Welcome back to another episode of the Cleveland Real Estate Podcast. My name is Sebastian Lorenzo, the host of this podcast. And on this episode, we're talking with Sam Livingston of the Marathon Group at eXp Realty. Now, we're going to be talking with Sam just a little bit about mindset. We're going to be going over a little bit of spirituality and really how mindset, spirituality has affected Sam's business. How would it affect your business? And really just diving into kind of some of the day-to-day things that he does and what his sort of process looks like. Again, just primarily with a focus on mindset. This podcast has mainly been really centered around what different agents are doing, and I think that sometimes it's also about mindset and not so much about the specific cold call strategy or outreach strategy. So hope you enjoy the show. As always, go ahead and leave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to your episodes, and take some notes, and we hope you enjoy. Thanks so much. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Cleveland Real Estate Podcast. We're here with Sam Livingston of the Marathon Group at eXp Realty. Sam, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well. Thanks so much for asking. Yeah. So Sam, this is going to be a little bit of a different episode. It's going to be basically real estate, but mindset focused. I think one thing that a lot of people we tend to forget is how important mindset is in our day-to-day life, in our success in our careers and that kind of thing. So Sam's really going to talk about that. We're going to touch a little bit about real estate, but make it really mindset focused. So Sam, super great to have you on. Start off by just introducing yourself, how long you've been in the business, sort of your background, and then we'll get right into it.
Yeah, I'm Sam Livingston. This is my 17th year in residential real estate here in Northeast Ohio. Before I was doing residential real estate, I was in the industry flipping houses, and that's actually why I got my real estate license, is because I wanted to earn those commissions myself. I started seeing those settlement statements, and I was like, why did that guy make that much money?
All right. Awesome. Yeah, that's honestly, I think a lot of realtors feel the same way. I've talked to other real estate agents who are like, anyway, they got into real estate because, they were looking at, they closed on their house and they found out how much they had to pay their real estate agent or whatever. And it's like, why not get into this myself? So that's awesome. All right. So just to kind of dive right into it, Sam, so walk me through, I guess, starting from the top, like what's your day-to-day life and how do you think that your day-to-day life has affected your success in the business?
Well, day-to-day life, man, that's a funny one because it can be all over the map. I was a Cleveland fireman while I was doing real estate, so day-to-day life can change pretty drastically. You might be up all night the night before you have an appointment, and that person doesn't care. So mindset to me, and we spoke briefly about this, mindset to me is the most important thing. Nothing else is going to matter if you don't have the right mindset. So my day-to-day starts with mindset. I get up very early in the morning, which means I go to bed pretty early at night. I try to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can to have the right mindset, and then diving in a little bit without getting too deep is I think about dopamine, and I think about endorphins, and I think about how I can release those at the right time for myself. And that comes with a little bit of self-awareness, or maybe a lot of self-awareness, and a little bit of mixing it up till you get what works for you. I coach some people, and I say, I get up at 5:15 every morning, and just one person said, "There's no way I want to get up at 5:15." I said, "Fine, get up at 7:15. My 5:15 is your 7:15, but have a plan, have a schedule, have a routine, have an idea, and go with that. And then when you do that, approach it from the best possible mindset that you can."
Yeah. So, what do you think? All right. So, diving into, I guess, why do you wake up early? What's the difference between waking up early, waking up later, and then what do you do in the morning before you start your day?
Well, there's 50 reasons I could probably give for waking up early. You and I both were in the military, so the military starts early. But what I understand for myself is if I get up late or I start late, I feel behind already. So that right there is a negative mindset. So from a mindset approach, getting up early makes sense. But then there's a lot of other things. You come into the office early, nobody's there. You can get so much more done because you don't have distractions, you don't have interruptions, you don't have the things that are just killers in your time hacks because nobody else is there. And that's a very important thing. Now, I also build into my routine some of those distractions that they would be distractions if that was the start of my day. But every single day I go to Cool Beans, which is a local coffee shop. That's where I check my email. I do it for an hour, and people go, "Don't you have an office?" I do have an office, but that's a mindset thing for me is I get to network. If I go into the coffee shop, there's no doubt I know at least half the people there. I know the owners extremely well. I know all the baristas. And so when I do something, it's with some purpose, and usually it's to assist my mindset or use my mindset to assist whatever it is I'm doing. So that's how I kind of want to make sure that my day gets started at the right time with the right, right shoe on the right foot going, no rushing.
Yeah. I think it's crazy. I think, so I do the same, this is not about me, but I think I do the same thing. I wake up really early. And when you wake up later and you have like a late night or whatever, you just feel behind. And there's something about waking up early and beating the sun up that I've always loved. And again, similarly to going to the coffee shop, just the other day, I was at Starbucks on the phone with a client for something, and the guy asked me if I was in real estate. Turns out he's wanting to get his license, and he's going to join, real estate, whatever. So anyway, he's a potential realtor partner for me as a lender. So you never know who you're going to meet, like you say. So now, all right. So I guess mindset is very practical. I'm trying not to. I'm very spiritual. We can, that's a whole other thing, but I'm trying not to get into that because that's going to, I think, that's not going to sit well with a lot of people. Because that's not what this is about, but mainly, so what, I guess, how do you end, what's your day look like during the day? And what when you end it, what does that look like to you? What's your sort of end of the day routine?
So my day, obviously in real estate, you plan as much as you can, and then you dodge the bullets as they come. Sometimes things change quickly, which I move well in those situations. But I really like to end most of my days with kind of a wind down of learning. Now, right now I'm taking some welding classes as a hobby. And so that's the end of my night each and every night. Well, I should say each and every night. I go to classes 3 nights a week. So those 3 nights I'm doing that. The other nights I'm usually reading something. I try to do something peaceful at night. I used to watch and scroll and blue screen it all the way until I would lay down. And, like most of us do, it's a very easy habit. And I talk about neural pathways and how that builds habits, and neural pathways are the most important part of building habits. So I go, if I do this every night, that's my dopamine release, and then I become addicted to it, and I want to stay away from that. So now I like to read something, and I don't tie myself to I have to read something that's real estate related, or I don't have to tie something that's mindset related. What I decided I would do is I would read something that was interesting to me at that moment. And that might be mindset. It might be real estate, or it might be complete fiction. It could be self-help. It doesn't matter to me, but that's the preference for me to end my day.
Yeah. And that's it's funny. I think we put a lot of pressure ourselves. People who want to do better, make themselves better, read books, listen to podcasts. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make sure that we listen to maybe something specific that's or something real estate specific or mindset specific or self-help specific. We don't give ourselves time to, I think, just relax and read to whatever it is that we want to, which I think, so I like that. Just not having the pressure to feel like you need to do something that's real estate related, even if you don't feel like it. But that's pretty awesome. So starting again, so just kind of recap what you just said. You wake up early in the morning, you get to a coffee shop, spend an hour there, check your emails, and then you kind of start your day from there. You get to the office before anybody else does, et cetera. And then you finish your day sort of with a, little sort of learning before bed, right?
Right. So there's a lot of other things I sprinkle in there. You talk about spirituality, and I understand exactly what you're saying, that if you were talking a religious point, spirituality would turn people off. But I think we all have some spirituality. So I do meditation, very short, because my mind won't allow me to go longer. I do ice therapy.
Awesome.
And I work out. So all of those things have to come into my day. And every one of those things is about mindset, dopamine release, endorphin release. Those are really, really important to me, because I understand if I don't work out for 2 weeks straight, I feel completely off kilter.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
And it's the same thing with the small meditations I do, which are very short, sometimes as long as 3 minutes, because my attention span and my mind doesn't settle as easy as I wish it would. So that's something I work toward.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's people don't understand meditation is like working out. Like you can't go to the gym, expect to bench 400 pounds. Like it's going to take some time. So same with meditation. Like you're not going to just meditate for 30 minutes and expect for your brain to be shut off for 30 minutes. Like it doesn't work that way. So it's a habit. I mean, it's something like you said. You build these neural pathways, and eventually you get to the point where you're meditating, and you can meditate for an hour and not even realize that and just be completely like. You can just stop your brain, basically stop thinking, which is what you want to do. But anyway, that's also what I wanted to get into. Sort of like I think people don't understand the power of working out in the morning. Personally, I work out every morning, 6 days a week. There is something about doing the hardest thing of your day in the morning. The rest of your day is a breeze. And the hardest thing you're going to do all day is going to be pushing your body to its limits. And then, you get into work, and then you finish that kind of with a meditation. It works wonders. And how you do one thing, in my opinion, is how you do one thing is how you do everything.
I love that. That's one of my most favorite quotes.
Yeah, me too. Because, if you're going to slack in the gym, you're going to slack. Because, if you think about it, you set, these habits up for yourself. You're like, all right, today is Monday. It's a new year, New Year's resolution. I love those kind of people. People are like, I'm going to set a New Year's resolution. All right. So New Year's resolution, you wake up in the morning. You're going to wake up at 5. You're going to go from 7 to 5, which doesn't make a lot of sense because you should work your way down. But, all right, so from 7 to 5. 5, you wake up. Then you do your gym. But then, 2 weeks later, you start slacking on the gym. And then that same day, you only do 5 minutes of meditation instead of 10, which is what you committed to. And then instead of that 10-minute meditation, now you're also slacking at work, and you're on your phone when you said you wouldn't be on your phone, and so on and on and on. It's important to do everything with excellence, everything the best that you can do it. So again, going back to just having that morning routine and that is a spiritual thing, having some sort of meditation, some way to calm your mind before you start work. You're really getting into that focus. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So,
the thing about spirituality too that I want to make sure, because you said it, and I've known it for a long time, and I've said it before. Is some people get turned off by it if you say it because they're mixing it up with possibly religion. And I've lived with Muslims, I've lived with Christians, I've lived with Buddhists, I've studied atheists. It doesn't matter to me. That part shouldn't matter to people. What spirituality is really about is you could just believe in karma, and that's spiritual enough that will guide you. And I say spirituality should guide you, and it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a religion. It certainly doesn't have to be somebody else's religion that they prescribe to you. I say allow spirituality to guide your daily thoughts, beliefs, and actions, and we can completely rule out religion if somebody wanted to. Yeah. Conversely, if someone's really invested in their religion, then that can be their spirituality. And I love diving into it. I know that some people want to stay away from it because it's a turnoff, but I go, it's a turnoff if people are looking at it the wrong way.
100%. That's so good. I see myself as spiritual, but not religious. And I think that a lot of people, some people are religious, which makes them spiritual, sure. So I think everybody sort of has a taste of this. Spirituality is universal. Religion might be something unique to you, but I think it's all like you said. Talking about spirituality is a good way to be inclusive of everybody who might or might not have the same religion as you, but they're spiritual. So that's really good. All right, so bringing you back to real estate, let's think back to a time, when you weren't doing your morning routine, or a time where you took 2 weeks off or took a week off because of whatever reason, right? How do you think that affected and could affect your business, positive or negative? And then, that's sort of the biggest thing, is because I really think that, having a routine and having sort of the right mindset, the right systems in place has a massive effect on your business. Obviously, this, so I want to know kind of what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, 100%. I believe exactly what you're saying there. And when you get away from the things that make you the best, well, how can you expect to not be the best, or to continue to be the best if you're not doing the workouts? People think you're working out just for a specific purpose. You want to lose weight, or you want to be strong, or you want to look a certain way. Yeah, those are benefits. But to me, it's really about the lifestyle that it gives me. So when you talk about getting away from those routines that make me who I am, or make me be better than I am,
Yeah.
What I found happens is I slip in all areas. And you said it a few minutes ago, and I said it was one of my favorite quotes because it's so real, is how you do anything is how you do everything. So you get away from those routines. And I've been injured before and had to take a step back. But what I realized is I couldn't stop. I had to change, especially as I get older. This is my last year in my 40s. So I go, all right, injuries happen, but they shouldn't preclude you from doing anything. So in my business, what I've noticed is if I don't have the endorphin and the dopamine releases that I decide I'm going to have because I work out, or because I get up at a certain time, or because I do certain things, and I have a session where I just manifest. I attempt manifestation, and I go, if I don't do those things, then that also means my attitude has changed, my persona has changed, my outward one anyway. And so how people view me is going to be different. And it does. Yeah. You do manifest whether you're trying to or not, whatever it is that you're projecting. The frequency that you put out there is what you're going to attract. And so I go, if I'm not doing those things, now there's some negative energy. A client may feel that, a potential client may feel that. You might go to a listing appointment and you're off. I know when I'm off. It's like when you take a Sudafed or something, a cold medication, and you feel kind of weird. Well, that's how I feel if I'm not doing the things I'm supposed to be doing on a regular.
100%. Yeah.
Well, from a business perspective, that might mean I'm not. If I'm not working out, I might not be prospecting. If I'm not eating right, or if I'm not doing my meditation, then that might mean I'm not doing my follow-up. Or if I am, I'm half-assing it. So those are real things to me. Yeah.
It's crazy that you say that because so as you're like talking, I'm thinking about, like, again, going back to, like you said, if you're not working out, you're probably not prospecting, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And then additionally, there's something about like stacking your wins in the day, right? Like you wake up early, you set your intention for like 5 a.m. You wake up at 5. And you pat yourself on the back and you're like, all right, I got one thing done, which is what I wanted to do, 5 a.m. Then you work out, you get a good workout and a good morning sweat, and boom, you feel good. So by the time you get to your work day and you're ready to start prospecting, cold calling, whatever it takes, you've already stacked all these wins. Your level of self-confidence is super high, and you just feel like you're untouchable. Even if the day goes really bad, which it won't, by the way, because you're in vibration with what it is that you are putting out there, right? By waking up early, by doing all these things, because that's what top producers do. There's no top producers who are slacking in the morning, in my opinion. Doesn't matter what, they might not wake up super early, they may not, work out, but they have a system in the morning to conquer the day, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're not, and if you're not in vibration with like what these top producers are doing, you're not going to be a top producer yourself, in my opinion. So anyways, that makes a lot of sense, and that's exactly how I see it. And again, going back to the fact that mindset has a massive effect on your business, right? Whether good or bad, and like you said, you're attracting no matter what, whether you want to or not. So, all right. So I guess going a different route, what do you have? What's your goals for yourself? Like, what are when you do this manifestation? What are your goals for yourself for this year? Let's just say with your business. I know that you're a coach and you have a podcast yourself. So just talk to me a little bit about your goals and how you plan to get there and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I had some drastic life changes in 2022, and not all good. I mean, there's a lot of negativity that happened. Someone asked me a question though, and it just came out quickly. Somebody said, they said, you're the most unlucky person I've ever met. And I laughed, and I didn't even think about it. And I go, I'm the luckiest person you ever met. I went through all this shit and I'm still here and I'm still smiling. I got hit by I got ran over by a parked truck, which is a funny story for another time. Truck popped out of gear and it rolled over me and it broke my sternum. I had a guy wreck one of my cars into a Tesla Plaid and total it, who didn't have a license. We totaled 3 cars in 6 days. I can go on and on and on and on. So those things could have stopped me in my tracks in a different mindset. But I shrug them all off and I go, look, like, dust it off. What's broken? What's fixed? What's salvageable? And let's keep moving. So when I look at that with my team and my team goals, my goals is to stay on track with what I'm doing, because I'm a slow builder. EXP has given me opportunities that I didn't have I worked with 3 other brokerages over the 17 years, one of which closed. That's why I left. But I didn't have the same opportunities, and I wasn't able to afford other people similar opportunities. So my goal here in the next 12 months is to add 20 people into my group. Now, I don't even like to call it a team because I don't run it like the traditional team. And, we could get into that if you want, but I'll just say from a surface level, it operates as a team in the way I see team, which is more of a feed in together and get it out together. A lot of teams, and I'm not here to bash anyone. I'm not here to say they're wrong. Their way is their way, and there's very successful. I came from the most successful team in Ohio. I was there for 8 years, and I loved what they did, and they built a great business, and they're still running a great business, and I think they're still number one. My goal was not to be number one. Let me rephrase that. Being number one was never one of my goals. Running a successful business with relationships that really mattered to me was my biggest goal. And so I want to add 20 more people into that circle and allow them to flourish and help coach. I want to take a little bit of a step back from real estate in the sense of transactions. The only transactions I want to do in 2023 and forward are people that I'm in personal relationships with. However that looks, like they could be a personal referral, which is important to me, or someone I've done business with in the past, or someone that I know. Everything else, I'd like to feed it out to the people within my group and help develop them and their skills. So that's my criteria for that. Monetarily, I don't, and this is really funny because my business coach shudders when I say this. Monetarily, I'm already in a very good place, and it's going to get better. If I add 20 people to my group, I don't need to know the end number. And he's a numbers guy, so he probably, if we were closer and not doing this on Zoom, there's a high likelihood he would choke me. But I'm to a point where the money is there, and I'm living, the lifestyle I want to live is paid for. Yeah. So what is the bigger goal? Well, now the bigger goal is to develop people and to get back more into coaching. And then I have some silly goals that I like to do and move forward with. I want to do more public speaking. I am going to do a little bit of stand-up. Those are things that are important to me as well. And they have to fit in my business goals because people think that they're personal goals. But I really don't know, for me personally, how you make a complete separation of business and personal. In real estate, I think it's very difficult. So I don't want to. I allow them to come together and work together and feed off each other. So my opportunities, I think, are only bigger if I allow that to happen. So I don't have a monetary goal this year. I know that I'm going to make at least as much money as I did last year, regardless of what the market does, because I get up and I do the things I'm supposed to do every day. My goal is more about the numbers are the people that I connect with.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's so good. And at the end of the day, money's not everything. And having like a bigger purpose beyond money, like developing people, like you said, and building relationships, I think is a way bigger and more worthwhile goal than making X amount of dollars. I heard this thing on the podcast it's called The Higher Self with Danny Morell. And and he says, the universe doesn't care how many zeros you add to a number. Like the money's irrelevant. Like you'll make however much money you want to make, But again, purpose is more important than that. All right. And then the other thing too is most people think that we should have work-life balance. And those are, I think, people that don't like their job. There's, Gary Vee, he says we should have work-life integration, which I think is, in real estate, it's way easier because your personal Instagram is also your real estate Instagram or whatever, right? You kind of share it all. But for some people, again, if you don't like your job, you're usually talking about work-life balance, in my opinion.
Yeah, because what you're really saying is, I want to get away from the work.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get away. I love real estate.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to the fire department if I didn't love real estate.
That's a fact. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Well, I appreciate all of this, Sam. Really, I think this has been pretty good stuff. And I think this is one thing that most people don't talk about in the real estate space. It's more just about what's your cold call strategy and how do you get your leads and all this stuff. And all that's cool and all, but it starts in the mind first, and and having a routine is so important. And so I really wanted to get this, this podcast done with you in this episode, because I really I wanted to talk through what you do, what your mindset is like, and how it affects your business. And, at the end of the day, all we want is to be happy. We want to make a lot of money and have a good life, and buy the things and live the life that we want and still save. So and I think all of that first starts in the mind before anything. Before you can cold call, before you can plan your cold calling, you got to first see it in the mind. So yeah, anyway, I really appreciate your time, Sam. Thanks so much. And, again, I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. Also, one question I ask everybody, what's a good way for people to connect with you? People want to get coached by you, join your team?
Just Google Sam's on Fire, and that takes you to my main website, and there's a lot of different links that you can do things. What I don't try to do is inundate people with, you can do this, you can do that. If you Google Sam's on Fire, you'll find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the traditional ways, or go to samsonfire.com and you can connect with me there.
Cool.
And I know that you're ready to end this. I wanted to go one quick, and I hate to but I because we didn't prepare specific questions. One thing I want to talk about with mindset that I think is so important. Everything's positive, right? We do all these very positive things in our mindset. And one thing that I found is what happens when something negative happens. And that's where the discipline comes in. And that's why I think it's good to do painful things too. You talked about working out. I do the ice therapy, and there's a million things you can do. But what I want people to think about while they're in that process, while it's difficult, while it's painful, is think about the success you have when you build and I call it embracing the suck. And I know everybody says embrace the suck now. I swear to you, I'm fully convinced that the Marine Corps coined phrase.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, okay. And I embrace it because I know it's going to get better. And I look for I next a lot at boot camp. I was miserable, but I knew that at a certain time they were going to have to feed us. And so my next was the next meal. And I got through every portion of everything that sucked by thinking, what's next on the plate? What am I going to get to eat next time? And so I didn't mean to take us there real quick, but I said, when something is negative, what do? How do you get away from that? It's easy to mindset when everything's great. Let's mindset good things. Good. It's my birthday. Got some good, I got all these accolades. I closed 5 deals this week, blah, blah, blah.
New Year.
When 3 deals fall apart, you have issues in your personal life, whatever might happen to you, then what do you do?
Yep, 1,000%.
Embrace the fact that it's short-lived and that you're going to get through it. And the way I do that is I get through the things that are short-lived and difficult.
Yep. And there's so many things I can talk about on this.
I know we can go on and on. That's why I was like, I better be careful.
No. It's totally fine. Because you know what? It's totally fine. It's part of this. And we can relate this back to real estate in so many ways. But you think about, you're making cold calls and today you're making, there's dialers now where you can dial 3 people at a time, and so you dial 3 people at a time. By the end of the day, you've dialed 600 people. Let's say you're half the day in, you've already gotten 10 FUs and leave me alone. I'm not selling my house. I don't like realtors, whatever. You're calling FSBOs and expireds and all that. And I love Ed Milet. He says this thing just do one more, one more set, one more rep, one more call, one more mile. And I do that all the time. I'm on the Stairmaster, I'm dying, and I'm just do one more minute. That's it. Just one more minute or one more mile. And you'll be, and so again, going back to looking forward to what's next, just doing one more, because one more is just closer to where you want to be, And
it's only one more. That's the greatest thing about that number. One more. And it got to the point where I've always been one more person. I think it went back to boot camp, one more for the core. You're doing pushes for one more for the core. And it was always you see that strategy that people have built into other people by going, just do one more. But it's the greatest thing, because you thought I only had to do 20 of these or 100 of these or whatever it was. Well, I did one more than that. Yeah,
it's a fact. 21, not 20. Yep, absolutely. That's so good. And again, there's so many ways. There's this story, and I don't want to get into the whole story, but basically, this guy talks about how things can be good or bad, but either way, they're never going to last. The good's not going to last, neither is the bad. And so it's important when things are good, appreciate the good times because the bad times are coming. But when the bad times come, just know they're going to be over soon because good times come after. There's never a time when winter lasts forever. There's always spring and then there's summer and then it falls back into winter. So anyway, again, we could dive into this, but I agree 100% with what you're saying. I mean, discipline is the most important thing. When things go bad, you got to rely on discipline when motivation disappears because motivation is going to disappear. It goes fast. It's easy to be motivated on January 1st, but when January 15th comes and you've been waking up at 4 a.m. and you're tired because you had a late night, like you just got to do it. You got to keep going. So, yeah, man, that's awesome. I love this conversation. I could talk about mindset stuff like for hours because my favorite thing to talk about is mindset and it's everything like that. So.
Well, but why? Because it breeds success. It really does. I can show you how to cold call all day long. I don't cold call. As a matter of fact, I hate cold calling. I've always hated cold calling. And when I did it, I wasn't good at it because I hated it. And that taught me a lot too. And I go, okay, so what can I do to replace cold calling? I had a guy that his first day in my office, and he's a great guy. He got out of real estate because he had another opportunity. But his first day in the office, he did 185 cold calls, old school, dial each number of cold calls. Yeah. And he had 2 listings that weekend. And he was on fire. He loved it. He absolutely was thrilled to do it. Couldn't wait to do it. I have another guy, Joe Latanzio, who I coach, and he's on my team now. He hates cold calling. And I said, the next time you cold call, it should be after you pick yourself up from throwing yourself through the window. Because you hate it that much, that means you suck at it. And the people on the other end of the line know you suck at it because they feel it.
Yeah, they feel the energy for sure.
That's why mindset's more important than if you let the mindset drive you to the actions you want to take, you'll be fine.
All right. Anyway, Sam, so I really appreciate your time. I mean, I think you have you shared a lot of good knowledge, and I think a lot of people are going to benefit a lot from this. I agree with 100% with everything that you've said, and I think that mindset, again, is the most important thing that exists. So, in anybody's success, right? So, once again, thanks so much for being on the podcast, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you more and talking to you soon.
Awesome, man. I really appreciate it. I love talking to you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Cleveland Real Estate Podcast. If you're a real estate agent in the Cleveland and surrounding areas, reach out to us on Instagram at Cleveland RE Podcast or send us an email at clerepodcast@gmail.com. And if you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow the podcast so you're notified of new episodes going forward. See you next time.